From the Vox Populi studios at Miami Lakes, we bring you the Miami Lakes Business Podcast. And today we have a guest, a dear friend as well, from Miami Lakes, and also a member, obviously, of the Miami Lakes Chamber of Commerce. Happens to be the treasurer of the Miami Lakes Chamber of Commerce. We have Mr. Rafael Schuck with us. So welcome, Rafael.
Well, thank you, Fred, for having me here in your, I don't know what number podcast is, but more than 10 I've heard.
Yeah, it's been a few. It's been a few. So let's talk a little bit about Rafael, okay? And from what I know about you, and I know you've been a member of the chamber for many years, probably since the beginning of times.
Not that long ago.
Not that long ago.
Probably
but at least for 10 years, more than 10 years.
Yeah, more or less.
More than 10 years. But you have a history which I think we should share with our viewers, and that is that. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you were born in Puerto Rico and you came to Miami when you were 24, I believe, if I remember correctly. But you say it.
Okay, well, it's a long story. I normally say, hey, I can give you my life story in 10 seconds. I was born, went to school, graduated, went to college, and boom, here I am. That's the thing. I was born in Puerto Rico, as you said. I grew up there, went to school there, and when I graduated high school, I went to Iowa, Cole College in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, for my freshman year. Then, my parents say, hey, you're too far. I had a sister that was living in Boston at that time, so I transferred to Bentley University, Bentley College at the time, and finished my undergrad in accounting. And then I went back to Puerto Rico and I joined Ernst & Young, the local office there.
That's the biggest accounting firm in Puerto Rico, pretty much, I would say.
Yeah, it's one of, at the time, it was they were called the Big Eight. Now I think it's the Big Four. The name was Ernst & Winnie back then, and then it merged with Arthur Young and it became Ernst & Young. And while there, I met my wife. Whose parents were moving from Puerto Rico to Miami, and she said, "Well, if you want to marry me, you have to follow me." And hey, listen, I made a choice. I followed her and came to Miami in 1986.
Wonderful. And so you are a CPA, and obviously the treasurer, the money man of the Miami Lakes Chamber of Commerce. What made you choose a career as CPA? Because we may have some of the viewers, that will see this podcast and they would want to know, why you chose the career of numbers.
Of numbers. Well, I think that early on in my career, I was always good with math, and I said, well, if I'm good with math and numbers, well, I got to be an accountant. I started working in. When I was 16 years old, a friend of my dad had a mortgage servicing bank, and he asked me if I wanted to join and work with them, and I say, yeah, why not? It was funny. He was visiting my dad for some business at home, and my dad asked me, hey, can you serve him a drink? So I went and I served him a drink. I gave the guy a drink. He tasted, oh, it tastes good. Do you want to work with me? And so I work in the bank, and I, doing that kind of like I got interested in accounting, and I decided to pursue a degree in accounting. The funny thing is I remember being in a class, still in high school, an English class, and I tell the teacher, why do I have to learn how to write all of this if I'm going to be an accountant and dealing with just numbers? And she said, you will be surprised how much you will have to write when you're an accountant. And she was not wrong.
Mm-hmm. So you are married to Leonor, which I have met, a very nice lady. And you actually own the firm along with her. You work together.
Right. Yes. way back in the year 2000, we needed to do an investment, so we decided to get together and organize the company. But before that, she's also an accountant. She used to work with Ernst and Young.
Same company that you worked in Puerto Rico.
Yes, actually, when we met, she already had a transfer to the Miami office, and she put the transfer on hold to see if our thing was going to work. Long and behold, yes, I'm here after 37 years being married. But at the time, the two people that were married or related couldn't work in the same firm. So I had to, look for a job, and I called Price Waterhouse in San Juan, and I said, listen, you made me an offer 2 years ago, but I decided to go with another firm. Is the offer still outstanding?
Reconsider.
And then I told them the story that I needed to move to Miami because I was going to get married to Leonor. And they set up an interview, and long and behold, March 3rd of 1986, I was working with Price Waterhouse.
That's wonderful. So I know your firm is located right here on Main Street in Miami Lakes.
Yes.
So how did the whole thing happen? You ended up right here in Miami Lakes, living and working.
Right. So when we got married, we first we moved in the Moors, which is not too far from here.
Yeah.
In 1991, our house was small for us. The family was growing, and we looked into a house in Miami Lakes, and I've been living in the same house since 1991 here in Miami Lakes. And I was working, after Price Waterhouse, I joined a private company, a magazine publishing firm, and I worked there for about 7 years, and then a group of executives decided to create another publishing company, and I joined them as a CFO. I worked there for 7 or 8 years. And then in 2006, I decided to, the industry was changing, and the company was being sold, and we were bought by Condé Nast, the largest, one of the largest publishers of magazines in the world. But I decided that I was,
That was the publishing company that published Vanidades, right?
Well, that was Editorial Televisa. We published Vanidades, Cosmopolitan, Buen Hogar in Spanish. That was the first one. And then when we moved to Condé Nast, we were publishing Newsweek in Spanish, Glamour in Spanish, Vogue in Spanish, Architectural Digest in Spanish. And then there were 3 other magazines that were not part of the Condé Nast licenses. And so when Condé Nast took over, they got rid of the non-Condé Nast titles, and they kept the titles. But the publishing industry is now digital and a whole
changed.
Right, changed.
Now you got to be CFO of that company, weren't you?
Right, I was a CFO, and I helped do a lot of things in there. Actually, when I joined, there was only 2 magazines, and as CFO, I helped the company grow to 9 magazines. Doing the numbers for the thing. But how did I get to Miami Lakes? So I decided to become I had this experience as a CFO, and I thought to myself, well, I can use my talents to help small businesses. So I decided to go on my own venture as a consultant. So in 2006, I started consulting with anybody and everybody, and that lasted to 2014. In 2014, I have met in a program, Leadership for Lauderdale, I met another accountant, and she said, well, I bought an accounting firm, and that's what I'm doing. And I said, well, that's a good idea. So I started looking, and then I see an ad either in the magazine or in the emails that I get, Miami Lakes firm for sale. And I say, okay, that's my firm. I'm going to buy that one. And after a few months of wheeling and dealing, it became my firm in November 14, 2014.
Wow. It's been quite a few years, 9 years.
9 years. That became my firm. And we were in the Lake Catherine Shopping Center for a couple of years. But that office was, it was a sub-rent. And I decided that, well, it's time to get a better location, a better firm, and started looking around, and I found that Main Street was the lowest rent I could pay, from all the buildings around the area.
Wonderful.
It was a decent size, and I've been there since 2016.
Wonderful. So I think that's great, and
Right.
and people will know exactly where to where to find you, aside from being in the Chamber of Commerce.
Right.
My last question to you today would be, how does the Miami Lakes Chamber helps you?
The Miami Lakes Chamber, it's a great organization, right? It's a place where we go and meet new people. We meet with old friends. We do business together. Not that I get a lot of business and a lot of referrals by going to the luncheons and the activities, but I meet people. And then by meeting people, when I need something, I can ask some of them, hey, listen, I need this or I need that, and they will provide it. As a matter of fact, my daughter is in the process of buying a house, and there's a member of the chamber, and I called him up, and he said, hey, have your daughter call me, and we'll do something for her. I don't know what has happened, because that was last night, but that's an example of how the chamber works. You get to know people that do things, and whenever you need something, you have it. Or in my case, as an accountant, I have a portfolio of clients, and from time to time they ask me, do you know a lawyer? Do you know a realtor? Do you know this, a banker? So, it's also helps me expand my own business.
It's all about relationships. That's what the main goal of a chamber should be. Increasing and nurturing, relationships among people. And I think we have a great chamber here in Miami Lakes. It's not the biggest, but it's a good size, and we enjoy being part of all that and helping the local business increase their business as well.
Yeah.
So I thank you so much for being here with us. See, I told you that it would go very, very fast and very smooth.
Hey, it was too short.
So we thank you for being here. Now people know where to get the firm's name is R&L
Schuck, yes, and R&L Schuck. Rafael and Leonor Schuck, we keep it short.
Good. So we thank you so much for being here with us today in the Miami Lakes Business Podcast. And until next time.
Thank you.